and a warm welcome to today's listeners. Allow me to introduce myself as the host of today's episode. My name is Amanda Dounis. I'm the founder of the Positive Thinking Clinic located at Wallow Creek, Sydney. Here at the Positive Thinking Clinic, I see clients of all ages. I see individuals, couples, families, and small groups. I conduct psychotherapy and use a variety of modalities delivered through counselling techniques and hypnotherapy. I am a professional counsellor, clinical hypnotherapist, and strategic psychotherapist. I'm an early childhood teacher and an NLP master practitioner. To learn more about what I do and what I offer, visit my website www.positivethinkingclinic.com.au. The easiest way to connect with me on social media is to search my name, Amanda Dounis, or my clinic, Positive Thinking Clinic. You may also access my social media at the bottom of my website. I am the author of My Coping Skills Handbook, aimed at kids 8 to 12 years of age. I have also turned this into an online course. I have a range of podcasts that can be found on amandadounis.podbean.com. In addition to the Positive Thinking Clinic, I am the owner of 4 early learning centres. I am passionate about quality care and emotional wellness of all ages. I believe we set the foundation for emotional wellness from a very young age. My early learning centres are licensed as Positive Living Skills Services. I also have an emotional wellness and kids Facebook group. One of my greatest hobbies is learning. I think I am always enrolled in a variety of courses, no matter how small. I enjoy adding to my skill set. As an integrative therapist, I learn diverse skills and select the best fit for any situation. If you wonder if I have any other hobbies, I am also into fitness. I have run a number of marathons, including 2 ultra marathons. So that's me in a nutshell. If you want to get in touch, you can use the contact form on my website, positivethinkingclinic.com.au. I would love to hear from you. Signing out and moving forward. You're listening to Amanda Dounis. Today we have George Pegios joining us. George Pegios is the founder of Help My Pain in Double Bay. His main interest is hypnosis for medical pain. He's done a diploma in hypnotherapy. He's a strategic psychotherapist and a master NLP practitioner. If you want to find out more about George Pegios, visit www.helpmypain.com.au. He is very interested in pain management, chronic fatigue, and fibromyalgia. He's also interested in writing and publishing. You can contact George through his website. You can also be part of his social media. Find him through Help My Pain on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube videos. George also studied at Sydney University doing his dental degree. He has since then done some consulting work. He has developed consumer products and a variety of other interests. He loves the outdoors. He loves golf, scuba diving, and has also lived in Bali for 2 years. He was always interested in hypnosis. First, he started with NLP, and then he realized from his lecturer, Gordon Young, that he offered strategic psychotherapy and clinical hypnotherapy. He found this really interesting, especially the way that it impacts all aspects of human beings. Since then, George has furthered his knowledge doing a variety of other courses. So let's see today what expertise George can share with us. So welcome, George. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to have a chat about what clients can expect in the very first session.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for having me again. Yes, I think it's an important thing to talk about.
Yeah, I quite find that when some clients or individuals are searching on the internet or come across our websites and make that initial call, they are interested in hypnotherapy, and they are interested in what shall I expect in the very first session. In our previous episode, we discussed some of the misconceptions, and I think that panned out really well so that people can be clear on what hypnotherapy is and what it isn't. But in terms of what to expect for the very first session, what kind of things do you find that clients are searching for? What answers do you think?
Well, people are coming for all sorts of reasons. And as you know, hypnosis and hypnotherapy can help with many different things, and it can help with, overall things like anxiety and depression, but phobias. And as you know, I've got a special interest in helping people with chronic pain and chronic health issues. And science is behind all of this and shows that it works very well. But I also want to say that the reason why what we're talking about today is so important is that there are we had a discussion yesterday with a group of different practitioners and having come from the same school of hypnotherapy, and it's interesting how even a short while after completing your studies, how many people go in different directions, and everyone has a little bit of a different take on things and see things a little bit differently, and then maybe influenced by further studies. So it's a very interesting topic that we have today, but it can be, we can go down many different tangents as well, because every different practitioner may do something a little bit different. Would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we all develop our own style, and I think it complements our personality and our strengths as well. What to expect in the first session? I think I like to give a broad structure for my clients or my potential clients. So I give them the opportunity to have a think about what I'm offering, and then I allow them to nitpick at that and ask me for more details where they have a gap in their confidence about what's going to happen. So maybe it's worthwhile both of us sharing what we do offer in our first sessions. So that way clients or potential or interested individuals who are watching this can then have an idea of what to expect in the very first session, since that's what the topic is for today. With me, after I've made a booking, I give the client intake form, which is very detailed, to the individual who's made the booking, because I believe to do that properly is a good 10-minute process that I'd rather not do during the first session. And that way the client can do that in their own comfort, their own privacy, and they can add to that. I do prefer to have that form back before the first session, because I myself like to have a read of it and make sure that I highlight any areas that I need to discuss or clarify with the client. So on the first session, I often have tea or a cup of water available for the client. We start in my office where we just have a general conversation and we discuss why they've come to the clinic. Now, I ask that because sometimes they say something different to what's actually on the form. Have you actually noticed that, George, that sometimes clients may write down anxiety and some other things, weight and whatever, but what you actually work on might be relationships or
Yeah. I've seen that quite a lot, actually.
That's why I try to have that verbal first with them as well. So we spend some time going through the form just to make sure we are on the same page, and that allows them opportunity to then extend what they want me to know. I often say, is there anything else you want me to know? And we spend some time doing some psychoeducation. on the issues that they present. Also, because there's opportunity in my form to put down short-term and long-term goals, I like to become specific on that first session and find out exactly what we're going to work on when we go inside for hypnotherapy. I then clarify what they know about hypnotherapy. I try to give some education before they arrive in terms of a blog or an audio so that they know what hypnotherapy is and also how it will be delivered by me, so they have some expectation of how I do it myself. And then by this stage, once all that's over and done with, we do go inside, because I have a separate room, which I call the therapy room. This is my office that we're sitting in now, but the door behind me over there, that leads to my therapy room, and it's quite cozy, it's comfortable, it's got nice lighting, it's got nice and appropriate music, and it's a feeling of safety, and it feels like a nice retreat in there. I like to do a lot of the exploring out here and a lot of the healing in there. So I divide that with the language that I use and with the conversations that we have, so that when we go in there, we change course. And hypnotherapy for me in there, it's basically, and I know this session or this episode is not on what is hypnosis or what is hypnotherapy, but we then spend the next 20 to 30 minutes doing a hypnosis session where the client has the opportunity to take that so that they can take that away and listen to that at home in similar conditions as well.
Yeah.
That's a nutshell. I guess we can expand on that, but what's your take on that?
Look, I think what you're doing is ideal, and it's very comprehensive. I've got a client intake form which is on my website, and I ask when clients make an appointment, they fill it out, and there's some basics there, basically what they're presenting for and some general health issues as well. But I leave it for when they come in to have a bit of discussion, and quite often I notice in their eyes as well, they don't know what to expect, and because again, like what we said in a previous episode, that a lot's been coloured by TV shows and stage and movies and things, so people just don't know, they're quite apprehensive, and it's important to kind of lay things out and what to expect and to manage expectations about what can happen in the first visit, and if we need to do subsequent visits, and how the whole thing progresses as well. So I have a little story that I tell most people, what hypnosis is. It's using a metaphor, and it works quite well, and I think a lot of people do bond with it quite well.
Do you want to share that with us, or is it a long one?
No, it's not that long, but so imagine if you would, you're going somewhere and you might go to another country and you want to take a tourist bus or a coach for your little scenic tour, and you're there and you might be in the favourite seat, halfway down the back of the bus, and you're looking out and you're enjoying the ride, and there might be, seaside or snow-capped mountains or something beautiful, and you're really enjoying this. But then after a while, you notice it gets a bit cloudy and dark, and before you know it, you're in some neighbourhood that you don't really like, and, it's looking a bit rough and you feel a bit unsafe, and you're not really, and you sit down and you say to yourself, I'm really not enjoying this. So what do? Basically you have to go up to the bus driver and have a bit of a chat to the bus driver and get the bus driver to, take you somewhere else, because certainly from being a passenger, you can't do that. So where we're taking this is that being a passenger, you're basically what's called the conscious part of you, and the bus driver is the unconscious or subconscious part of you, or that back part of your head somewhere that's making all the decisions. And with hypnotherapy, what we're doing here is I'm helping the client talk to that bus driver, talk to the unconscious to make changes and take you somewhere else. So that works well and explains it quite well to people.
Yeah, I think that's really nice to describe it that way, because that's something everybody, every age can understand. And I think knowing that that's their pathway, I think that'll help them trust what you're going to do and the journey that they're going to be on. So what is it that you think that, do you explain to your clients that there's an induction and then there's these suggestions and then there's...
Yeah, I'm actually very careful. So what I do is I try to explain to the client how the session will run and how we need to talk and, you know, find out a little bit more about the issue. And like what you said before, that quite often what they write down isn't quite often what the underlying presenting, what they're really actually coming in for. And it's happened all the time. Like, as an example, there was a guy, Joe, that came in a few weeks ago, and he came in to stop smoking, but then we found out that there was depression, and there was self-esteem issues and relationship issues, which you're very familiar with, how it all works. So we're very, very careful in going through and explain all that. I also have created some animations myself for those that are interested and we really don't know how hypnosis works deep down, and we don't know how the brain works, although we're getting very good at it with all the neuroscience and all the imagery that goes on, the imaging equipment, sorry. But I do have some animations that kind of explain to the people that are more interested, that want to know deep down how it all works. And then I'm very careful to explain that, we are going to talk about their issues, and I'm not going to jump into hypnosis yet, because some people are a bit anxious. They think that they might be, and going back to the concept of what stage hypnosis and what they see in the movies, they think that I might suddenly spring it on them. So I'm very, very careful to explain, no, we'll do some talking, and then we'll do some exercises in which we might do some what's called NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, to try and balance things out a bit first, if that's necessary. And then we'll do it, and then we'll do the session. I only have the one room, so we work from that one room on a seat that's quite comfortable. And then I say, well, we'll do it now. And so I have to explain it to them. Whereas your setup is good, because you can explain to them that the hypnosis is done in the other room, and that room is just to do the getting to know parts.
I guess the truth is, it doesn't really matter if I have the added bonus of another room, because it can all happen outdoors as
Absolutely.
well. It can happen in the car. So for me, it's just the opportunity that I had to have an extra space. But what I like about what you're saying, and what I discovered is really important for our listeners to hear, is that rapport between the individual and us as therapists is most important, because that's how we observe their needs, their language, their fears. And by us exploring all of this, then we know what path to take, because hypnotherapy is not one model.
That's right.
Up our sleeve, we have a number of techniques that we use depending on what the client brings in. So I know some clients come in and say, oh, I can't relax, or I can't unwind, or I can't be hypnotized, or I can't change. And that's really important to actually hear that, because they're sharing with us their beliefs, and then we know which direction to take. We're not here to convince them otherwise. We're here to work with what they've come in with. And that's why having on our form, for example, where we write down, and I'm not sure if you do this, but I assume that you do, what your strengths are, or where in the past have you had this problem and yet you've been able to use your resource to overcome it. So that, for me, is one of the most important parts of the interview process, because I will use that in hypnotherapy. Even though they might not understand why I've actually asked that, if that was in the past, we know that they've got the resource. They just have the gap to bridge it over. And so, like you said, the NLP techniques or whatever techniques, and I know you've been furthering your skills with a variety of different techniques, but whatever the technique is, they can expect to feel relaxed, to feel to some degree as much trust and comfort as possible, to let go, and it doesn't have to be a deep kind of trance. Change work happens in light trance too. So we allow their body to relax, we invite their mind to relax, and at the same time invite their unconscious part of their mind, or subconscious, whichever term you feel more comfortable using, to be of heightened alertness, because we need that part very focused. And they can expect then to experience that journey like you described on the bus, to lead them through pathways of change. And we do that in a personal fashion because we've done the psychoeducation or the interview with them. So we know where they want to go and where their limits are and their past, or, you know, whatever we wanted to learn from them, we learn so that we can use it in hypnotherapy. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And on that point as well, it's quite important that people understand as well that even though two people might come in with a similar problem, whether they say they've got anxiety or fear of spiders or whatever it might be, everyone is very different, and their underlying personality and again, resources, you know, parts of their past play such an important role that in this particular type of therapy that we're helping people with, no two people the same, and no two exactly the same kind of hypnosis or hypnotic therapy to do different people. It's very customized, very individual for that person. Certainly there might be part of the relaxation technique, or, you know, part of what we're working on might be, but everything is really customized specifically for that person from what information that we receive in conduct our interview or our relationship with that client. Do you agree?
Yeah, that's right. I think there's a lot of power also in visualization. I mean, we're using a lot of the imagination during our session, and quite often we have no idea what they're imagining unless we're using a directive approach. But if we're being indirective and we invite them to imagine themselves as their best version, then really, unless we're having a conversational style hypnotherapy session, we don't know what's in their mind. And we accept that because this is actually about them, not about us. So I like doing lots of pauses during the session to give them opportunity to engage visually with their imagination, to see, or you could call it a positive guided visualization, I guess, or some mental focus, whatever term you wish to use, but to give them the opportunity to not just hear, but to imagine and visualize it within themselves. And I think after the session, or before I get to that point, towards the end, when we're coming to conscious wakeful awareness, I give them that opportunity, and I think it's important not to rush this part, to determine or discover what they've learned and what they liked about it, because they haven't liked absolutely everything that's been suggested, or they haven't accepted everything, or they haven't perceived it in a way that has become a teachable moment. So I don't want them to feel that there's an element of unsuccess there. And so I invite them to just bring with them anything that they found useful and valuable. And then when they do come to wakeful awareness, I allow them that time also with their eyes open to just sit in silence for a little bit as well, just to see what other learning occurs, because there's no start finish. And then that post talk, I find that to be a really nice wrap up where we extend our rapport. They let me know what they think they've learned and what the turning points of change have happened. Although I'll add at this point too, and I don't know if this is the case with you, but you're familiar with the term post-hypnotic amnesia, where clients are unable to say, oh, I don't really know how I feel or what's occurred. And I really normalize this for them, because that's the most common feedback that I get. So I invite them to get in contact with me over the next 24 hours, to touch base, to let me know what's changed, because they don't necessarily know consciously at that moment what's changed. They may know with a conscious assessment that, oh, I liked this part and I liked that, but the work is unconscious. So we have to wait and see what does change when you walk out of here. So I guess hypnotherapy extends beyond our 30-minute session or 40-minute session or 1 hour session. It goes off onto the night and the very next day as well. And so I have found that feedback immediately afterwards is really important. But when clients come back for the next session, I like to say what's changed in a positive way, so they can immediately deliver that to me as well, which will help me shape session number 2.
Yeah.
How do you tackle your last part of the session?
Oh, look, it depends on what's going on. I usually after I've delivered the bulk of what I'm doing, I give the client about a minute or so to process things without me talking much at all, a minute silence. And then when they come after that minute, then I go into a few smaller things and then give them time to, bring it all together and, come out of the trance. But going on to another point that you made, the experience, obviously, and like you said before, that you don't have to go into a deep trance. And there are, 5 stages of trance, from, quite shallow to quite deep, that's almost asleep. Clients can go up and down a bit or stay at a particular level. And the experience is, although quite uniform, there are, different variations on what people experience as well. Because a lot of people have asked, what does it feel like to be in a trance or under hypnosis as well? And it is a kind of a weird feeling in that you are super relaxed. I've had clients that, just weren't able to move. They were almost paralyzed during that time, and they were certainly aware of what was going on, but they were in another reality somewhere. They could hear what was being said. They took it all in very differently to how they would take it in while they're awake and conscious. And I've also had some experience, myself included, but also a younger client that came in a few weeks ago, that after the procedure, after the session, he reported that, he says, oh, wow, that was weird. And he said he reported that he was seeing incredible colours. And I said, what kind of colours? Like really intense purples for some reason. So, the experience can be very unique for certain people. But not in a bad way. It just means that it's something else. And again, back to the thing that you focus, that's a heightened focus, that you're listening to what's being said, but you're listening it to from a different point, from a different point of view. That kind of really digs into what your problem might be. So you start seeing it from a different perspective and a different level of wisdom to what you normally do day in, day out. And then, having said what you said before, people walk away a little bit. Sometimes they're with it, but sometimes they're a bit dazed and super relaxed and they just want to go home and sleep. And it does work on them for a while. It might take, some people say it even takes up to about 3 days for them to really formulate and process what happened and start putting things into perspective and putting things into action and doing things and changing things. So it can happen straight away, but sometimes it might take a few days.
And I also am a big believer of listening to the audio again. And the reason why I'm a big believer is just client feedback. Those who listen up to 3 to 5 times do make more change than those who do not. What I like best about hypnotherapy as well is it's natural, it's drug-free, it's a proven clinical method to deal with deep issues, deep-rooted problems. The evidence is there. It can
Just on that point, anyone who's listening or watching or listening as well can just do a Google Scholar search through Google and type in hypnotherapy for whatever. And there are a ton of articles from really accredited universities.
That's right, I've done that
study
too.
this.
Yeah, there's hundreds.
If not thousands.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. I mean, I myself have a science degree, so I like evidence-based. So for me, that's one of the reasons why hypnotherapy, for me, I value it. I'm a counsellor as well, and hypnotherapy really can bring fast results. It is up to the client. So what to expect from your very first hypnotherapy session is bring yourself your best ability to be that best client, because all we want from our clients is be here and be willing. Like, what advice would you give, George, to any listeners here?
What I've said to people as well is that, and you said this as well last time, is that all hypnosis is really self-hypnosis. The practitioner, the hypnotist or hypnotherapist, is there to guide you, and we guide you into a level of consciousness that's different to being awake. So you might be slightly relaxed, or you might be very relaxed. That depends, and you might find as well that on subsequent visits, after you become a bit more accustomed to the situation and the relationship to the practitioner, you might find that on other occasions you might go deeper as well. But that doesn't matter. That just happens, and it is what it is. It works out, whatever. Sorry, but I do explain to people that the particular situation will be very unique to them, but very super comfortable.
Mm. And another way I'd really like to emphasize change for clients, because the truth is clients come in for change. Most of the change, okay, so quite often it's behavioral change and change in thought patterns. And I mean, hypnosis works with pain or children or performance and weight and stress and anxiety, controlling habits. Okay, there's a whole list, but I like to always ask, because this is a really, it's a clear indicator that change has occurred in the session. I like them when they first come in, I say to them, how are you feeling right now? And I don't invite a big story, but I do invite how they're feeling at that moment. And I get them to rate their stress levels or anxiety 1 to 10.
Yes.
It's quite often high, and especially if it's their first time. I do say to them, so that I don't have assumed knowledge, how do you expect to feel when you leave? Most often it's they want to leave calm and feeling better. And so I make sure I revisit that sentence when we have finished. How are you feeling now?
And ask
isn't
for a
it?
score out of 10 or whatever.
That's
To make
right.
them, yeah.
That's right. I've never ever had someone say I feel more stressed or more anxious, because they're doing self-hypnosis, they're relaxing their mind and their body. And so have they achieved immediately? Yes. Will work continue to be done? Yes. So is there anything else that you need to add, George?
Yeah, look, a couple of things. One is one of the most important questions that I ask clients. Obviously, there's, you know, why you're here and all that. Two things is, one, are they here on their own volition? In other words, do they really want a change, or are they being forced by someone else in the family to come? Because that's a big deal as well. Because if they don't perceive that they've got a problem, but everyone around them does think that they've got a problem, that can be a problem. And the other thing is, why now? If they've had a problem for a while, what is it that makes them seek treatment, therapy now? Is it that they've exhausted everything else, or they saw something that triggered the idea that they should have hypnosis, or did someone suggest it? I always find that quite interesting as well, just to spend a bit of time analysing that.
Yeah, that can help with goal setting as well, and that can help with your direction when you're doing your actual hypnotherapy session.
Yeah.
Because then you're helping to serve their needs and helping them believe that that's what you're here for, that's what you're ready for, and that's what you're doing right now. Right now is the time.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other question is as well, because a lot of people ask this straight off the bat as well, is it, how many visits does it take? Like, obviously it's their first visit, but they come in, they want to know. I've heard people, you know, do everything in one visit, or I've heard that, you know, my friends had it done and it takes 10 or whatever. What do you say to that? What do you say to people when they ask how many visits?
On average, it is a 4 to 6 visit program. Yes, some clients have done amazing things and feel they need nothing else after the first or second visit. And yet there's some that continuously like it. I've experienced all of that, and I continue to experience all of that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with all of that, because it's actually individual. And I know we are brief strategic psychotherapists, but we have to be flexible. Now, if the client brings in some resistance, that's going to make a difference to the results. So 2 clients can come in for the same session, one brings in resistance and the other one doesn't. It's quite obvious which one is going to get the faster results.
Yes.
Yeah? So there's tasking involved quite often after the session. The one that's going to do the tasking, I'm going to imagine that they will get to their results destination faster than the one that doesn't. So
what do you mean? What do you mean by tasking?
Sometimes don't you give your clients some tasking to do afterwards?
I do. I just for the audiences listening.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I don't like to call it homework because people don't like to hear homework, but sometimes they say, so what do I need to do between now and the next session? And we'll come up with something that's going to help serve their goals. And I may make the suggestion, or I may invite them to decide for themselves what they need to do and what they will commit to do. It might be listening to a YouTube, it might just be listening to the audio, and it might be reading something, or using an app, or actually making calls, or certain actions, or creating a plan. The list is endless, or journaling. So all these things contribute to the end result. So
Good outcome, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So to answer that question again, it's all dependent upon how fast the client wants to achieve their results and how willing they are to be part of their hypnotherapy experience and speed up their own results.
Yeah. The other one too is that some people, depending on what their presenting concern is and what's going on, I do suggest to them that I see them after we've finished everything. That might be 2 to 4 visits, that I see them every now and again, every 6 to 8 months, every 6 to 8 weeks, to help them with a goal. And this in particular is with people that have got issues with weight loss, for instance. So it's just to maintain that momentum and make sure they're still on track as well. And they may not be long sessions like the initial ones were, but it's just a matter of, just fine-tuning things as we're going along and dealing with any issues that may come along the way as well. I found that helps as well.
That's really good, because it's showing them that you're still there for support should they need it. And I do something similar. I call it top-up sessions. But just to know that you're available, and I like to say the 2 words always, to be committed and consistent will always help you be successful in any area of your life, whether it's a diet or whether it's exercise or studying or mental wellness. If you're committed and you're consistent, then I think you're on the right path. So I think it's really nice that you offer that, and that's an opportunity for your clients.
Yeah, and also the power of technology now has made it so much easier. I mean, I do prefer to see people, especially initially, person to person, because you just want to develop that rapport and really get an understanding. But once you get to know someone, you can do a Zoom or a FaceTime, depending on what's convenient. If they can't come, especially at the time of this recording, we've still got this COVID situation happening, which has pretty much changed a lot of how we interact with each other, and it may become the norm as well, going into the future.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's face it, the telehealth and the online therapy has been around for years. I've been doing it for years. Lifeline's been doing it, and it's been very effective. And other organisations offer online and telephone counselling and whatever it is. It's just that we now are using this for a different situation because of the COVID. But in my own assessment, I don't find it's any less beneficial. It's a matter of having the right technology, the right conditions, and for the client to feel that they have their privacy. And there's platforms that are very private as well. And so I think that it is a great opportunity, especially for those who can't leave their house, even if COVID wasn't here right now.
Yes.
There's clients that we have to see because they may have
accessibility issues, or whatever. Yeah,
no, that's
or they
right.
just can't travel for whatever reason. They don't have the means of transportation.
Yeah, that's right. Or you come recommended and yet you're in a different state. Even though they have therapists around them, they may like your website or like what work you do specifically, and at least they can reach out to you and they know that they don't have to drive to you, they just get online with you.
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, I hope that we've given our listeners enough of what to expect in the first session. I think if anyone wants to get in touch with us, I've introduced both of us right at the beginning of this episode. And just to summarize, you are George Pegios from Help My Pain. I'm Amanda Dounis from Positive Thinking Clinic. And I guess, George, we'll see you at the next episode. Thank you for your interview today. I very much appreciate learning all about you and what you do in your very first session.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I really enjoyed it. And I got a lot out of it. Thank you as well.
All right. I'll see you later.
Bye.